Remember the Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia prosecutor, Fani Willis, district attorney, who had the absolute gall and I would say responsibility to prosecute Donald Trump and his cronies for attempting to manipulate the election in Georgia. Remember, Trump had to take a mug shot in Atlanta, Georgia, had to be fingerprinted by Sheriff Patrick Labatt in the city of Dr. King. New development. Despite legal disputes, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is finally scheduled to appear on December 17th to testify before a special state Senate committee examining her prosecution of President Donald Trump. Already politically motivated, naturally. The entire committee was established due to the prosecution of Trump. They tried to say it was about some broader, far-reaching element of state restriction and out of control district attorneys, but they are utilizing it exactly how and what they designed it for. Lawyers for Willis and the state Senate committee appeared Tuesday before the Georgia Supreme Court to contest if a 2024 subpoena can still compel Ms. Willis to actually testify, even though that version of the Georgia General Assembly dissolved when a new one took office in January, basically arguing that it does not meet the spirit or the essence of the legislature that passed, because that legislature has thus been dissolved. Reminder, state senators, January 2024, created the committee to look into allegations of, quote, various forms of misconduct against Willis concerning her prosecution against Donald Trump, and others over efforts to overturn Trump's 2020 election loss in Georgia. Even before Trump embarked on a retribution campaign against his enemies, Republicans on the Georgia committee were eager to bring Willis in for question. So the Senate committee issued a new subpoena. That came this year after lawmakers passed a new law explicitly laying out their subpoena powers. Willis agreed to appear under the new subpoena. Now I'm going to get into some of the details. They have already created 4 to 5 separate laws, separate, independent, but joint related laws, in order to do this to the district attorney, newly elected DA of Fulton County, Georgia. Because there was so much ambiguity in the law as far as subpoena powers vested in the Senate for the state, they went back and passed a new law to clarify and truly enhance their subpoena authority. There's more, put them up. But Senate Special Committee on Investigations Chairman Bill Couser. Bill is an Athens, Georgia Republican. Still wants the old subpoena recognized as valid, seeking a legal precedent about legislative powers. Quote, the attack is that the subpoena is void and there is simply zero constitutional text to support that argument. And there is no reason this court should adopt it, said Josh Belafonte, a lawyer for the committee. Georgia Supreme Court justices seem skeptical of that argument and reluctant to rule at all if Willis testifies on December 17th. Instead, multiple justices suggested The subpoena died with the old legislature, which has been the common practice by the way. There's more. Quote, when the General Assembly convenes, it is a new General Assembly. It is not a continuous process, said Justice Charles Bethel, himself a former state Senate. Now, I have a legal opinion about this myself also. And I think it's simpler than some of the legal scholars have made it out to be. The state of Georgia, they do not have full-time lawmakers. All of their lawmakers are considered part-time. It's not like California or perhaps New York. The lawmakers are part-time lawmakers, which means even if reelected or the next year follows, they have to be sworn in again, which technically means there's a period of time when they are not, in fact, properly affixed to the position because it is not continual. Now, that is legal fiction, meaning we don't know the exact time frame. But if you got to be sworn in again, that means that at some point, your term is not a continuous term. Very simple. In addition to that, because they have to be sworn in again, it means that their powers under the old authority are thus suspended temporarily because their position as lawmakers in the state of Georgia via the part-time status makes it so. Sometimes the simpler route is the better. All right, former Governor Roy Barnes, Democrat, last statewide Democrat elected governor, happens to be a friend of mine, Governor Roy Barnes, representing Willis, also argued the old subpoena was defective because it was not issued by both the House and the Senate. That is a legal argument, doesn't have as much teeth because of the ambiguity of the law. The new law passed this year explicitly says one chamber may authorize subpoenas without the other chamber concurring. So although Willis has agreed to appear, Governor Barnes, who is a very well-respected attorney, Barnes suggested more wrangling may come. Quote, you can't just pick somebody out and say, we're going to embarrass you, we're going to try you, we're going to harass you, Barnes told justices. So we'll make an appropriate objection at the time. I'm not a potted plant. Some Southern jargon there. Here's the other benefit. 4 of the 5 Republicans on the committee are running for statewide office in 2026. So they're trying to get up out of there. They're trying to do something else with their lives. Going to be interesting to see how much vigor they have. And, you know, when Governor Barnes was governor, he appointed a lot of judges who are still on the bench today. So they have to weigh that. And if they want to fight this as it relates to Fani Willis. But once again, my dear brother, they have literally passed big laws, not small laws, but laws that would change the precedent of the House and the Senate in the state of Georgia in order to go after the one woman who stuck to her integrity and put Donald Trump inside of a jail temporarily, yes. But he had to make that ride like everybody else. He had to take that mug shot and they took his fingerprint.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said the correct word, which is integrity. They are coming after integrity in a full-throated manner. I think this is what this administration does. There's this term that is used about Trump very rarely, but it is used often by Dr. Cornel West, and he refers to him very often as either a gangster or a thug. And that's what came to mind when I was reading this story, because I was like, my goodness, like, this guy really will go after his enemies in such a vicious and obvious way that it would be comical if there was actually anything funny to it. But as I was reading, I'm glad you went into the actual legal ramifications and the contours of this thing, because I don't know anything about that. However, I do hope they make this as difficult as possible to come after this woman. She doesn't deserve it. And I think the way you explained it was simple and makes total sense.
Yeah, we'll bring you updates as they come. I do think Roy Barnes, the former governor, has signaled that he has a surprise outside of October for them.